What is up, guys? Welcome back to Futbol Asada. I'm your host, Andre, here with my co-host, Chris.
What up, boys and girls?
And as you guys can see, we have a special guest today. Since it is a Mexico versus Honduras preview, we thought it was right to bring on an Honduras fan perspective. So we have our dear friend, Gabe, who lives in Honduras. How are you doing today, Gabe?
All good, man. How about you?
Doing good, man. Instantly, I'm going to ask you guys. Well, Gabe first. As a Honduran fan, how do you feel about this matchup, these two matchups?
I'm very pessimistic, mainly because we have no striking power, no Choco Lozano, no Romel Kyoto, no Brian Roches, and no David Ruiz, who plays as an attacking midfielder, but he was scoring a lot of goals. We're a team that creates a lot of chances because Honduras created a bunch of chances in both matches against Jamaica, against French Guiana, against Trinidad and Tobago, obviously. But when it comes to finalizing, to actually, finishing those chances, we're not that good at that. And the fact that we don't have those strikers who are at least at a decent level, and we're mostly going to play with Liga Nacional strikers, I think that definitely has me feeling a bit pessimistic about the match.
You're not confident even about the Honduras game?
I mean, I think that it depends on if the pressure of the stadium, because this time they're going to be playing at the Estadio Morazán. It's going to be packed. All tickets have already been sold. But sometimes that pressure can play against the Honduran team. We've already seen that in the past where we have a packed stadium, everyone's incredibly optimistic, and then things don't pan out as expected. So, I'm. It's kind of weird to say, but I'm like cautiously pessimistic because you never know what's going to happen. Like last year, we were feeling this exact same way when we were playing Mexico at the Estadio Nacional in Tegucigalpa, and yet we won 2-0, and it was a pretty close matchup. Both at home and I would say away, Mexico was way better, but the result was pretty much the same. So it was it was very close. So you never know what's going to happen, but from the get-go, I don't feel exactly happy about, what the potential starting lineup could look like.
What about you, Chris? We'll first bring up the first match in Honduras.
Well, I mean, I'm also not that optimistic from a Mexico POV either, because we're also missing some very key attacking options. Like Santi Jimenez is not there. Chucky Lozano, he's been kind of out of the national team mix for a bit, but he's still a key player that would have made a difference. And then obviously El Vasco, he's still kind of like just getting to the team, so you can't expect us to be gelling perfectly yet. And then no matter what team Mexico has ever had, like over the last 30 years, no matter how good they've been or how bad or how good or how bad Honduras has been, playing in Honduras has never been easy. I'll give you a quick stat. In the last 30 years, Mexico has played Honduras in competitive games 9 times. We've only won twice, losing 5 times, have a negative goal differential. So if you're talking about the first game, I'm not that optimistic we'll win that game. If you want to give you a prediction, I think we're going to draw the opening game. I think we'll draw 1-1, which in my opinion would be a good result for Mexico. Like if you can at least get a draw in Honduras, I think I would take that. Like obviously I want to win, but winning in Honduras again is not easy. So I would take a draw, and I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be 1-1.
I feel quite the opposite from you guys. I'm very optimistic. I think we're going to win pretty convincingly both legs, to be honest. I know you mentioned some of the players we're missing, but I think the players we have are good enough. Based off from what I see in the Honduras roster they have right now, I think we're more than capable of winning pretty comfortably, like 3-1 or 2-0, to be honest.
In Honduras.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, if you're thinking 3-0, I'll give you this. I mean, a part of that stat that I gave, I don't think Mexico scored 3 in Honduras, like,
ever?
Maybe ever. Like, definitely not in the last 30 years, like in any of those matchups, but I don't know. Maybe this is the time. Well, according to you, it is.
What's your score prediction, Gabe, for the first leg?
I think it could be a 1-1 or a 2-2, mainly because, while I do feel Mexico's a better team than Honduras, I still feel that Mexico's defense is not very strong. I consider Cesar Montes to be a good player, but he's too slow. And I think he can be outpaced by many of the Honduran players in the midfield, especially. And then Edson Alvarez, as good as a player he is, he's a liability when it comes to yellow cards. And, it's very easy to take him out of control and to get him very angry. And that can be a problem for Mexico. So that's the only reason why I think Honduras might be able to score against El Tri. But then again, in attack, you have an illuminated or a reborn Raúl Jiménez. And then you also have other alternatives. Quiñones, who's been balling out in Saudi Arabia. So I think that just because Honduras at home always levels up, I think it might be a draw. And I think that a draw would also be a good result for Honduras because it opens up whatever happens in the away match, even though it's going to be in Toluca.
Yeah. That's actually a good thing you bring up about Mexico's defense because I completely forgot Johan's not going to be playing. Who do you think would have start? Victor Guzman instantly? His replacement?
Or Chiquete, because Chiquete is a left-footed center back. Or I wouldn't even be surprised if he puts Angulo there and moves Gallardo to left back, which that would be a huge liability in my opinion. But like
Even
Angulo and
Chiquete, to be
Gallardo, like in
honest.
2024, almost 2025, is absolutely insane. And I believe Honduras has Luis Palma back, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn, as much as I
So
love Chiquete, I think he's going to start.
might
I
be
think
tough.
he's a liability because did Chiquete start the game against Valencia when we got smacked?
Yeah, Chiquete, I'm a Chivas fan, but he's never had a good game for Mexico. He was trash
Every
against
time Tala
Valencia.
plays, he plays, and they're both terrible.
Yeah, like was trash against Uruguay. I mean, I don't expect a masterclass against Uruguay, but they were trash in both games. I don't know. I wouldn't throw him in there.
I completely forgot about Johan, but I think we'd still win, to be honest. I think our attack right now, they're all pretty informed, all the players. Now let's get to the second leg in Toluca. I think the last time Mexico played in Toluca, was it that game against Trinidad?
Bermuda.
Bermuda, yeah,
Bermuda.
Bermuda.
Okay.
I think Mexico historically has a very good record in Toluca, and Toluca in general, like the team is usually one of the best home teams in Liga MX. There's something about that stadium. They call it La Bombonera, like the Mexican version of it. I think it might actually play to our advantage. I feel like sometimes, kind of what Gabe was saying about Honduras playing in a packed stadium, like in front of the home crowd, I feel like sometimes that affects Mexico whenever they play in the Azteca. I feel like the pressure just kind of gets to these players because a lot of these Mexican players are very weak-minded nowadays. And when you're playing in the Azteca and the fans turn on you ASAP, like if you're not performing, they're going to start booing you from minute 10. So I think maybe playing in Toluca might be a little bit easier and more to Mexico's advantage. I guess I'll get my prediction pretty quick. I think Mexico wins the second leg 2-0. I think Honduras will try to play for a draw and take it to penalties. But if Mexico can score early, I think they can control the game and it'll end up being 2-0, and we'll move on to the semifinals.
What do you think, Gabe? Toluca.
Yeah, I think altitude is definitely going to be a factor because they're going to be playing at more than 8,000 feet above sea level. So it's very likely that Honduras is going to travel to. Usually, what Honduras does is they camp in Cuernavaca and then they would move to Mexico City. So this time, I'm guessing they're going to do something similar just to try to decrease the effects of altitude sickness. I also feel that Mexico, like my score prediction would be that Mexico wins 2-0 or 3-0, maybe if the strikers have a good day. However, there is this strange fact of history. Actually, the first time that Honduras ever beat Mexico in Mexican territory in any category I think it was in the 1980 pre-Olympic tournament or somewhere around that. And it was in Toluca. So,
Yeah.
so who knows?
Never
Maybe
know.
it happens again. But I think Mexico and Honduras have played before in Toluca with the senior teams, and Honduras hasn't done that well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I think I'm going to agree with Chris. I think 2-0 is a perfect scoreboard, to be honest. I think in terms of scores, I think Quiñones would score and a midfielder. I feel like Edson Alvarez would score like off a set piece or something again.
I'm going to just say Alexis Vega scores because he plays for
Oh.
Toluca. Like, you should be used to that stadium. So you should score a goal.
I think that regardless of what happens in the first leg, I think that Honduras is going to park the bus on the second leg. Like just to either to qualify or to avoid embarrassment, it's going to happen.
Any chance it goes to penalties and we see a rematch between Chino Huerta and that goalie and they just keep going for another
Yeah,
20 minutes, another 20 penalties?
Revenge.
yeah, it's looking likely because I think he's going to be the starting goalkeeper. It's going to be Edric Mendjivar. And from the looks of it, apparently Chino is now a starter compared to that time when he was a bench player. Now he's going to be a starter. So, yeah, we're probably going to see that again.
Man, that was one of the funniest days ever. So I think we're all agreeing Mexico's going through convincingly, or no?
I mean, if they get a draw in the opening leg, I think it will be like not convincingly, but I think by 2 goals. It all depends on the first leg. Like in my opinion, the only chance Honduras has is kind of like what they did last time. They have to win and not concede. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Away goals do apply, like still in the Nations League. So I think they would have to win and not concede any goals at home. Like they would need to win 1-0, 2-0, put like max pressure on Mexico to keep a clean sheet in Toluca and get the win. Like Honduras was very close last time. They got the perfect result, 2-0 win at home. And then Mexico needed a 100th minute at the death goal by Edson Alvarez just to survive. So that's the only way I see Honduras having a chance. If it ends in a draw, which I do think it will, I think Mexico should go through comfortably. But you never know.
Any last thoughts, Gabe?
No, I think Mexico is probably going to qualify to the next round, but I don't know if it's going to be like that open of a result. I think it's going to be tighter than many people expect. Not because Honduras is a great team, but because we're definitely going to be very disciplined when it comes to defense, knowing how Rueda usually makes his teams play.
Okay, so we have Mexico going through. I think that was our Mexico versus Honduras preview. Make sure to stay tuned for next week. We're going to be reacting to this matchup, of course. We appreciate our man Gabe from Honduras hopping in the episode. Let us know in the comments any other special guests you guys want us to feature. We'll think about bringing them on. We'll catch you guys next time.
All right, guys. Peace.